Are you ready? You put in the time, you got the gear. In fact, everything you carry is designed for a specific purpose to give you maximum advantage. Except your glasses. Introducing purpose-built optics, scientifically formulated and optimized for your specific pursuit. At Hook 'em Bullet, we believe sight casting for redfish is different from pitching a bait to a billfish, flipping to a bass on a bed, or live scoping for crappie. Each environment has unique visual cues and demands. You spend a lot of time and treasure feeding an undeniable passion. Don't take a Snoopy pole to a marlin fight. Make the most of every opportunity.
It's the moment when everything is on the line and precision, power, and control make all the difference. A moment over 20 years in the making, anchored on loyalty, trust, and support that goes beyond all expectations. A relentless pursuit of perfection. All born from a revolutionary idea to help you rule the water. Power Pole.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Twisted Cat Outdoors podcast, where we give you information on tournaments, events, everything in the catfishing world, bringing you value, tips and tricks, things that you can do out there on the water. Let's get this show started.
I look at this for the Twisted Cat Outdoors 3-fish record.
Hey everybody, welcome. It's another Monday night. I know last week we were traveling down to Texas, down to Lake Texoma at some tourism stuff. So getting a lot of things ready for 2025. It's coming very fast. So we're excited for that. Got a big show tonight. Got JT Ray, Angler of the Year for 2024 and close in 2023. As the race heats up with Twisted Cat each year, it's exciting to see how these anglers go at it against each other to see who can be on top. And it always comes down to the end, you know. So, but we'll dive in, talk to JT, try to pick out some info from him, some tips, some tricks, maybe some of the gear he uses and how he's using it, how he's tying his rigs, and maybe any kind of special bait that he uses. So ask your questions. As you've seen, we've got a lot of the events up. We can maybe scroll through that on Facebook real quick during the show. We'll have a few more events to add and then hopefully get everything wrapped up for 2025. But I also want to take a quick moment of silence for one of the good ones that we lost last week, Mr. Danny Sapp. I'm going to share a picture. So we take a moment of silence for Danny Sapp. And then we'll play our video from the championship in Helena, Arkansas. Rally Pride, is that for you guys? Catching your personal best in the tournament in the championship. Come on.
I come and go as you command, and it's fine with me, and it's fine.
Hey, welcome everybody. We're here in Helena, Arkansas. It's our championship. We did 13 events to get here, taking anglers best 4 out of 13 to qualify for this no entry fee championship powered by Suzuki, presented by Sea Arc Boats. Again, we had 27 teams here in downtown Helena, Arkansas. We put boats in this morning. They can fish from 7 to 3, and they got to be back in the harbor by 4:30 with their poker chip in the bucket. So again, I can't wait to see what these anglers do. They fought hard to get here, to make it to the championship, to make it down to Helena. We got $25,500 up for grabs, plus a tons of prizes on top of that from Power Pull, Pro Guide, and so on. Like I said, it's going to be an awesome event. Really can't wait to see what these anglers do. And again, the sponsors have made this happen, and I can't thank them enough to continue to help grow Twisted Cat Outdoors. This is the 10th season, and we just keep growing each year. So thank you to the sponsors, the anglers, the spectators, and everybody that's helped grow this sport of catfishing and Twisted Cat Outdoors.
Shelf that some days makes you smile. Then I gather dust and watch you go about your life.
There we go.
It's fine with me.
That's what a healthy blue cat looks like right there. Oh yeah! That's it, good fish. Look at Tom, big smile. All right, here we go. Come on, Brian. Pull that thing out of there.
So you got your personal best here, 53.12.
Let's get a big round of applause. Great job, PB at the championship.
How was fishing for you guys? Woo! Amazing.
Do our weigh-in on the Cherry Street Pavilion, downtown Helena, Arkansas, which is home of the 37th annual King Biscuit Blues Festival. The stage is massive. It's awesome to be a part of, and again, thanks for letting us do it here. The anglers love weighing in on this stage with a big crowd watching them. So again, the 37th annual King Biscuit Blues Festival just happened a few weeks ago, and now we're weighing catfish on that stage. So Helena, Arkansas, home of the Blues Festival and home of big fish. All right, here you go, your first place team, 110.89, Brennan and Michael Yvonne. Let's get a big round of applause. $10,500. $10,000 for first, $500 for big fish. There's those. I don't know how you share those checks. I'll take this one. Our 2024 Angler of the Year with 985 points. 1,000 and 2 powerful. Answers of his choice, J.T. Ray.
It's going to be hard to work there.
The 2024 Angler of the Year, J.T. Ray. Let's get a big round of applause.
Rio!
20. Nice.
Yeah, baby!
Good job.
All right, so our 2024 championship, there's a little recap from our buddy over there at Withered and Worn, did the video for us, so cool recap. And again, you've seen JT Ray holding the big, maybe we'll get him to wear the belt tonight, so pretty cool. So real quick, I seen Mike asked, has the 2025 schedule came out? I'm going to share the Facebook page really quick just to kind of go over. Let's see if I can make that big. So just real quick, 2025 schedule. If you're looking, the website's not updated yet. The quickest way, go to the Facebook page, Twisted Cat Outdoors. Always call me if you have any questions. Right on the main page, the easiest way, right when you scroll down, whether you're on your phone or a desktop, you're going to see featured. That's one way to see all events. You can always go where you got about, channels, mentions, reviews, hit more. And then you also have the events that you can hit on right here. But again, you just go see all events, and then you got upcoming, and they're up here. So you've got Bama Blues, January 4th, 2025. The next tournament will be Lake Ray Hubbard, Texas, February 1st. Everything's in order. So you got Decatur, Alabama, January 4th, Lake Ray Hubbard, February 5th or February 1st, Alton, Illinois, March 1st, Fort Smith, Arkansas, March 15th, Fort Madison, Iowa, May 4th, Pekin, Illinois, May 24th, Perryville, Missouri, July 5th, New Madrid, Missouri, September 20th, Savannah, Tennessee, October 11th. So we've got quite a few more events to put up, but this is the quickest way. Like I said, you'll click, and you can click that event. Once you click that event, you can go to discussion, and then you'll have stuff. Jeff Manning asked, what's the entry fee? Is there a membership fee? And we explained it's a $300 per boat per team, 100% payback, no membership fees. And there'll just be some stuff on here. And then always you can just hit going. I'm the admin of this page, so it doesn't give me that option. But once you hit going, any updates on this page will get to you. So again, I'm pretty excited for the 2025 to get things rolling on that. But without further ado, let's bring in the 2024 Angler of the Year, Mr. JT Ray. How we doing?
Hey, everybody.
Well, first off, congratulations. Not an easy thing to do with who you're fishing against, on the trail. So what did you, I guess we always talk about points. What did you think coming in? Did you think you had a chance being 7, 8, 10 points back?
I definitely knew I had a chance. I mean, counting the championship points, I mean, it was anybody's ball game that was, in the top of the field. I felt like I just knew I had to weigh in decent fish to have a chance.
Yeah, and I think it always comes down to the last 2 years you've had the top anglers coming into the championship being points ahead, quite a few, and then have a scratch or not do well and then get passed by, and it came down. It was a really tight race towards the end with Nolan Rummel even coming up pretty close behind you.
Right. And he was, I don't remember what place he was in, but 5th or 6th or 7th. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So it comes down to a lot of variables at the end of the year, but like I said, it was exciting. It was fun to watch. I enjoy it as a hardcore tournament angler myself, and being very competitive, setting it up where you don't know how it's going to end at the end of the year. So that was fun. So I've seen a picture. Let's see if I can actually pull it, but you're sitting and kind of like, have you ran out of room on the walls, or is that where you kind of put all your trophies?
Well, they're all in a box right now. We're still in process of building, and not everything's done.
Okay, so I'm going to share this. Let's see. So that right there, you can actually see that's where you're sitting, but look at all those trophies. You've got, and last year you got what place? Second place. I just realized that.
Championship, yes.
So last year at Lake Washita, you got second place. This year you got third place in Helena.
And
that's pretty
fish.
awesome. And big fish at Washita. And you got a lot of plaques there, and you got Mr. Koya Sneed's beautiful face there on the TV. I like that. Are you learning from him? Is that why you got him up there watching him, or?
Yeah, I learned what not to do.
You learned what not to do. Well, so I don't know if you knew this. So last week we had to cancel the show last week or postpone it because I was in Kentucky at a tourism show, and then went from Kentucky. I drove to Lake Texoma and then fished for a few hours after I had some meetings with Coy and Matt Mosley. Caught one fish, so I've caught my first fish in Texas, so that was pretty cool. And then I had an extra day. Liz's birthday was Sunday, but she allowed me to fish on Saturday at Lake Washita. So I got into Mountain Harbor late, like midnight Friday night, and got everything ready. I was all excited, woke up at like 6, and fog was like really, really heavy on the lake. Like you couldn't see. So I really didn't leave that harbor till almost 8 o'clock because it was just, there was zero visibility. And that lake can be a little dangerous, especially when it's a little low. So I didn't have the best bait. I had some shad from, that was caught at Texoma, and then had, dead shad from Texoma and some chicken. And my goal was to absolutely destroy big fish, and I just did not. I did the opposite. I caught 2 catfish and 1 striper. I caught a lot of grass, and I caught a ton of wood. Lost a lot of gear, but and it was pretty windy. Not that I'm not having any excuses, but there was a thermocline, and we talked about this before we went live. There's a thermocline at 50 feet. And the water temp was around actually at 59 in the morning, and it got up to 63 pretty quick in a few hours. So I think there's something to be said about the thermocline still there. I think that maybe that lake is really good when it's cold, but I'm not giving up yet because I know that there's blues there. I don't know if you got to, dead stick them, but
I think you got to see it when there's not a thermocline. I think that thermocline puts them into hibernation. They just get on top of it and hibernate, don't do anything. That seemed to be what they was doing during the championship. That's weird.
Yeah, and like I said, it was almost the same situation as the championship. I thought it would be a lot colder water and different, and it just wasn't. So I'm going to maybe try to go
down this way. We still got leaves on the trees, and I mean, they're still green in places. We hadn't had that cold snap yet. That's weird that the thermocline's still almost the identical a year later. Is that I remember at 45 feet, and you're saying it's at 50 feet, so that's pretty much the same.
Yeah. And I marked fish in the trees and the thermocline. The amount of shad and the amount of someone ate them all in that lake, Wally. There's a ton of striper in that lake. So I don't know. I really believe there's some good fish. I've talked to some of the locals. I've seen the fish they catch. Granted, a lot of them are running like jugs, in the summer at night. And when you have a jug out for, 12 hours, that's a lot different than rod and reel out of a boat. But I'm not giving up on it. I think I'm going to try to go back in January when it's just absolutely cold, and see. I'm going to give it one more shot.
Maybe I'll be available next time. I'll join you.
Yeah.
It's not that far.
So I don't know when the thermocline, if it finally goes away, when it really gets cold down there, or, I don't know.
I think they'd have to get some rain or something, wash it out.
Yeah.
Something.
I was talking to Jason Maskell on my way home, and he was explaining like that it's so cold in the bottom that on Hamilton, you can't even, where it dumps into Hamilton, it's extremely cold water. Even in the summer, he said you really can't even jump in the water because it's so cold.
Right.
Have you been on Hamilton up there?
I have not been on Hamilton, but there's Broken Bow is very, very similar. The water comes out of the bottom of the dam, and that water is 40 degrees year round.
Yeah.
I assume.
So, I don't know. There's a ton of striper guides out there. Just knocking the heck out of the stripers. I seen stripers jumping. But the water was low.
Stripers in that lake. There's like 50-pound striper in that lake.
Your 2025 champ is in the building. Concrete to catfishing. Well, come on with it. So we're looking at, obviously we're going to be in Texas. The schedule is going to be a lot different than last year for the most part. We're going to be in Fort Madison, Iowa this year in May. We're going to Lake Ray Hubbard in Texas, February 1st. We're going to Decatur, Alabama, January 4th. So got a lot of different things changing. So I guess kind of give us a little, you started a couple years ago into the tournament scene mainly, but like what has been your biggest key to being so successful, when you're going, because you've traveled to a lot of these new bodies of water. Like what are you doing that you think maybe sets yourself apart to catch fish in a place you've not been? Because hold on a second. Hold on. What did you catch in Perryville on Friday or Thursday?
101. 101.
And I made a little meme with a magazine with you holding that fish on a magazine cover. I think I sent it to you
I hadn't
of
seen it.
catfishing dummies 101, what not to do pre-fishing for a tournament or something
I
like
did.
that.
I did the same thing at Caruthersville the year before.
Yes, I remember that.
I caught a 94 the day before the tournament.
So in your eyes, do you think that when you caught that 94 before a tournament, that 101 before a tournament, do you think, because those are incredible fish, do you think that you would have caught those fish tournament day, or are you glad you caught them when you did?
I'm glad I caught them. Who knows if I'd caught them during tournament day. Anytime you catch a big fish is a good day on the water.
Yeah, there's always talk on social media, with tournaments. Do you allow pre-fishing, and again, I always talk about, we're not quite at that level yet where you start taking the pre-fishing kind of like we do at the championship, which is very interesting because taking Friday off and then having what we did Wednesday and Thursday with the weather pattern, it really threw people for a loop. And I think a lot of people, just like yourself, go to these events and want to have fun. So it's hard for you to travel from Oklahoma to Missouri or Illinois or Alabama and not just tie baits or whatever, because you might catch a world record, state record, or your personal best on Friday. And if you didn't have bait in the water, would you have caught it on Saturday, or you never know? So it's one of those. I mean, even myself, I'm going to fish hard every day and try. I mean, I'm going to try to put together a pattern, but I might catch actually my personal best is pre-fishing in Alabama.
I'm going to try to catch fish. I'm not going to hammer an area. I'm not going to just sit there and try to catch every one of them out of a spot. By no means. And both places that I caught those big fish are places I've never been before. Never had a hook in water there ever. So yeah, if it, a hole that I know, I might go fish it for 5 minutes or make one pass through there and see if there's fish there, and I'll leave and go somewhere else. But I mean, that was all new water.
So those two fish were the two biggest fish you caught on the Mississippi?
Yes.
So did you catch them both the same way, bumping, dragging?
No, so the year before I caught the 94 on a planer board on the Mississippi.
Like behind a dike or something, or
off the tip of a dike in the back eddy.
And what about this year?
Pulled through there and scanned it, and there was two big fish in about a 60-foot hole. And that 60-foot hole wasn't that big. I mean, it was a small hole. So more or less, there wasn't no current. Set planer boards out, pulled up over the top of it, and more or less just sat there over the top of it with planer boards and caught the 94. And of course, went back there on tournament day, and there wasn't even a fish in that hole.
Yeah, and I think again, they're moving so much, especially depending on the time of the year. It's hard to go. I mean, you take a look at some of the anglers that they go a weekend before or a whole week before a tournament, and patterns change so much, and then they stay on that pattern and don't do well during the event because they stuck on that pattern from 4 or 5 days ago, and things change.
The 101, he actually weighed like 105, 106 when he first come over the rail of the boat, and every phone we had was dead, so we put him in the live well for about 30 minutes and pulled over to the bank, let everything charge for a second, pulled him back out and reweighed him, and it was bouncing 99 to 101, so I'm going 101. It is 105, 106 when it first came over. When it first came over the rail, which there was all kinds of stuff that he puked up in the live well. The most interesting thing was 2 whole corn cobs. Corn cobs.
That's wild. So when I think of JT Ray, I think that, you're a great angler that can kind of attack really any body of water. Do you consider yourself more of a lake guy or a river guy?
Well, I consider myself more of a lake guy just because we ain't got no much of any type of river with any current. We got the Arkansas River here where I'm from, but it's hit and miss on current. Sometimes it's got current, sometimes it's like fishing a lake. During the Fort Smith tournament last year, it was like fishing a lake. There was no current. So, I mean, I consider myself more of a lake guy just because that's what I got here. And on average, I take 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 trips to the Mississippi a year. But I have gotten better on the Mississippi. At least I think I've gotten better on the Mississippi. I can remember my first trip to the Mississippi. it wasn't nothing like now anyway.
No, and like I said, you've killed it on the Mississippi. I mean, 2 of your biggest fish are bigger than most people that's been doing it 10, 15 years. So, and it ain't like I said, you're far away, so it's not like that you're just get a little hop over here and you're on the Mississippi. I mean, you got a good drive to fish the Mississippi.
Helena is probably the closest place I can get on the Mississippi.
Yeah.
It's right at 5 hours.
So, I guess, back to that question, what do you think is in your arsenal that has made you so successful? Is there a technique that you're doing that you're like, man, this really has changed my game, where I can go to Keystone Lake and be successful, or I can go to Helena, Arkansas and be successful? Is it scanning the water? Is it understanding patterns, times a year, bait presentation?
I do spend more time scanning now than I used to, especially on the river. I'll spend more time scanning. I've learned to, look for the structure on the river. If you can find the structure, you can find the fish most of the time. As far as lake, I'll spend a lot of time scanning, and I'm real quick to change. If there's something ain't working, I don't spend much time doing it.
Yeah. So what are you using to scan? What sonars?
I run Humminbird. I run side scan most of the time. Unless the water's real deep, I'll run 2D, usually 2D and side scan. But I like looking for the structure as far as wood on the Mississippi, things like that. Scattered wood. If you can find scattered wood on the Mississippi, you're going to find fish.
Are you looking for wood more than fish, or are you trying to find fish on side scan, or mainly just concerned about structure?
If I'm where there's current, I'm probably more concerned with structure.
And then when you're going to target that structure, so how do you so you find some structure, and then are you putting like a waypoint on that structure?
I usually will scan through an area and mark all the structure that I can find. Especially if it's scattered, I'll put a waypoint on it. And most of the time when we're bumping, we'll start several hundred yards up above it. And with my setup, my Humminbird and Minn Kota, I hit go to and cruise, and it'll maintain me the speed directly to that waypoint, and then I can go from waypoint to waypoint bumping.
So how does that work now? So you can go backwards?
I can my Minn Kota, I have the new Ultra X, has cruise control. So I can hit go to, cruise, and punch in the speed. So wow. I can go backwards at 0.1 or 0.9, 1.1, 1.2, whatever speed I want, and it'll maintain me at that speed to that waypoint.
That's incredible. You think that's changed the game for bumping and being more specific on a?
I think tremendously.
Because not having that is.
I spend very little time, controlling the trolling motor anymore, and more time fishing. I don't have to wonder, hey, what speed we're going. I don't look at the graph, and 1 second we're doing 1.5 miles, and the next second we're doing 0.5. We're always doing exactly what I have typed in.
Yeah, that's huge, because then you're going to that piece of structure, or whatever your mark is.
Right.
What happens once you get to that structure? I mean, is there a way that if you scan a bank and you've got, maybe 30 yards off the bank, you got a nice piece of structure, and then another 50 yards down, you got one that's 40 yards off the bank. Can you
if you're not, that's the only thing. And there may be a way around it. I don't know. No, hadn't figured that out yet. But if you do hit your target, your trolling motor actually just shut off if you're drifting backwards in current. So if you notice all of a sudden you're going fast, that's because you've already hit your target, and then you just got to type in your next target, or just touch your screen and hit go to.
When will there be voice control or AI where you can just say, "Hey, Minn Kota, take me to, spot A or spot B"?
Yeah,
that's got to be coming, right?
So every day, I think it's got the contour line where you can actually cruise a contour line. I hadn't figured that out and hadn't yet to play with it too much.
How is the Humminbird mapping on like Mississippi or?
It sucks. I mean, yeah, the Lake Master not any good on the Mississippi. The base map in Hummingbird's not any good. The only thing I've seen anything that's any good on the Mississippi is Navionics.
Yeah. And so you're running all Humminbird, all Johnson?
All Johnson. Well, I have Garmin LiveScope, but everything as far as maps and side scan and down imaging, whatever, is all Humminbird.
So talk to me about can you be honest and talk to me about LiveScope and your thoughts on LiveScope?
It's just a matter of time till somebody figures it out and dominates big time.
Do you think so? I've talked to some anglers. Actually, I'm taking a trip. Me and Liz are going south. We're going to a couple different spots way south, maybe Venice, the Red River. I'm going to kind of play with it, but I talked to some anglers that actually spent some time down there, and they're really good at LiveScope, and they were LiveScoping down in Louisiana and said that in their mind that the LiveScope was scaring the fish. So when they stopped LiveScoping, like 15 minutes later, the fish are back at it, going crazy. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think there's something to it. I know some crappie fishermen that'll actually turn, their down imaging off and their 2D off because the ping will scare the fish. So, I mean, I guess I think LiveScope could scare the fish, but I haven't noticed it. I mean, maybe it is.
Are you catching catfish on LiveScope?
I personally have not actually caught fish on LiveScope. I have looked at fish on LiveScope. I've looked at fish in shallow water on LiveScope that actually just presented a bait in front of them using LiveScope. No. That's one reason I brought WSD on as my partner. He's the LiveScope genius. We're going to figure it out.
Well, I'm gonna try to catch one on LiveScope this week down in Louisiana.
He has caught them on LiveScope. I mean, he's caught some big flatheads on LiveScope, but it's going to be the person that figures out to do it, consistently, and then somebody's going to figure it out. I don't know.
It'll be interesting.
It's not. I don't think it'll ever take off anywhere there's current. I just don't know that it's possible, but definitely in some lakes.
Yeah. Well, hopefully if you're watching tonight and you want to watch, we're going to try to go live every day that we're down there fishing. So we'll probably play with LiveScope, and I don't plan on catching any fish. I'm going to have Liz reel them all in. So until she's completely wore out, but going to try to do some LiveScope and see if that works. And see, Aaron says, I think it may come into play on lakes, but it's too slow of a way of scanning be valid. Yeah, I mean, I think the Mississippi, but you never know. I mean, just like you have anglers that do a lot of different things. I think you have anglers that go to the Mississippi and they run the ledges, they run the rock revetment, they run sand flats. You take like what you're doing. I mean, if you can really target that wood and the live scope is working in that wood, if there's current and you've got clarity, maybe it's, if you know that there's a couple of good fish in this area, you can spend all day trying to catch, and you catch 2 of them, that's going to be pretty good compared to just.
The biggest thing that it's going to take with live scope. It's going to take somebody to spend the time to mark the structure, and that's how you're going to live scope fish. What I've noticed with blue cats on live scope is they don't ever sit still. They're always moving. They're always swimming. The flatheads are more. They'll sit there. So I think that's
there's so many times. I mean, in 10 years of being a tournament director and fishing myself, like so many times people have been on blues, been on big fish, had an awesome Thursday, an awesome Friday. They marked them, and then Saturday, gone. Don't know what happened. So their game plans they had Thursday. That's why, I think Friday, if you're going to pre-fish, I think Friday is the main day. And I think, for myself, I'm going to scan Friday and try to find fish. And in my mind, I don't think the fish are going far. So, if you're on an outside bend with some wood and there's fish there, you scan them and you go there the next day. And now it's 7 o'clock in the morning. And when you scanned it at 2 in the afternoon or noon, the fish are not there in the morning. So they didn't just go 80 miles upriver. So you what are those fish doing in the morning? Are they going across the river to the sand flat? Are they going up on the sand? Like they've got to be somewhere. So I think in that situation, for me, like I will scan the first hour of the tournament instead of kind of what I call fishing for ghost. I mean, do you ever do that where you go to a spot that you thought there was fish and they've disappeared and you go scan? Or do you just
I've scanned very little on tournament days. I mean, I try to do all my scanning pre-fishing. And there's been times on tournament days where I haven't even turned side scanner 2D on.
Wow, that's incredible.
I don't spend a whole lot of time there if I'm not catching fish.
Do you think when you're fishing, because I've heard this on the Missouri River, that these guys were saying that when they're bumping or they're in any kind of shallow water and they were in 30 foot of water, that they shut their sonars off because of the pinging. They're saying that the pinging is scaring those fish. What's your thoughts?
I think it could happen. I know it definitely happens in the crappie world, so I could see it happening in the catfish world. I don't think I turned 2D or side scan on during the championship. I think I only ran map the whole tournament.
Any reason?
No, just because I knew where I was going to fish. And if that didn't work out, I knew where I was going next.
So you don't even care what's down there. You know that I'm going to fish spot A, and if spot A don't work, I'm going to go to spot B.
That's what I did during the championship. I had all my waypoints marked on the map. I don't believe I turned 2D or side scan or down imaging on. Ran maps the whole tournament.
That's awesome. Matt, I don't know if you're saying that that's what freestyle is, but I'm going to kind of call that freestyle where you're rolling with it. You don't even need sonar. You just need mapping. But hold on. It's Mississippi hummingbird mapping ain't that good.
No, but I had my waypoints marked on the map.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Live scope ain't fair because I can't afford it. Oh, Palmetto cats, come on. The red is like a lake, no current right now. Perfect time to learn. Dustin, where do you live? Like I said, me and Coy Sneed were talking about that this weekend. I think the Red River is my favorite fishing destination right now. And I fish Norco and New Orleans, which is really fun, but there's something about dragging baits and those oxbows or out on the main lake off that Red River. Have you fished the Red River, haven't you, JT?
We're talking Red River, Louisiana.
Red River, Louisiana, from the Mississippi River section to Texoma.
Never been there.
Oh my. I love it. Those fish are on like another like they don't open their mouth when they get in the boat. They're pissed off at the world for some reason, and they fight hard.
I think.
I mean, my
Venice
biggest
is
fish is probably 35 pounds. But
yeah, Venice is on my to-do list.
I could be there Thursday. I don't know. I haven't decided, but we're gonna go down there.
So back to the pre-fishing, the Thursday, the Friday before the fish are gone. Take Keystone, for example. I pre-fish Thursday, Friday. The championship, I pre-fish Thursday, Friday. Go to Keystone on Thursday. I caught some really good fish over around the dam area on Thursday. Didn't fish that spot on Friday. Went to a whole different spot of the lake and fished Friday. Caught fish, but not near as good as I did on Thursday. So tournament day, we go back and fish the dam area first thing Thursday. We spent an hour there. We caught one fish. Then fish was gone. So we ended up fishing the place we did Friday. Spent all day tournament day fishing the place we did on Friday and caught fish. Did well. So go to the championship. We pre-fished on Thursday. I caught some better fish in one place. Didn't fish that spot at all on Friday, fished in other areas, but we went back to the spot we fished on Thursday during tournament day and spent all day there. So them fish didn't move from Thursday to Saturday. On Keystone, the fish did move from Thursday to Saturday.
What's your reasoning? Why do you think they may have moved? I mean, weather patterns changed, or?
I'm trying to think. The weather did definitely change at the championship. I don't think it did change at Keystone. Yeah, I think the weather is the biggest factor in fish moving.
So I don't know if you got to watch with Chris Stout. I had Chris Stout on, and he was even talking about, like when fronts come in or high pressure systems, where he has noticed like a lot of the bait in the lake or the river, go deep. And the fishing might be really good before that. And then when that high pressure system comes in, there's just a lot of bait fish that he has seen. Have you seen anything like that? Or do you follow the pressure? Or
I do follow the pressure, and I think that's one of the biggest factors. A sharp change from low to high, I think will send the fish deeper faster than anything. As far as the bait fish moving, don't really think I've really followed them too much.
So you don't follow bait at all? I mean, what is your bait situation, bait presentation? What's your thoughts on bait? Because I'm gonna probably use some Ivory soap this week.
My thoughts on bait, places where I've actually caught the bait and seen the most bait is usually where I don't catch the fish. I don't know if that's because there's too much bait or what. Lake of the Ozarks is a prime example of that, and so was Grove. There was tons of bait, but I didn't catch a fish where the bait was.
That's I don't fish a lot of the places I catch bait. I don't know why that is. I mean, you're right. I just don't catch fish there.
No, there was places on Lake of the Ozark where the bottom was just solid shad, and I did try to fish it. I've made a few passes through there and never got a bite in all the bait. Same way with Grand. There was a lot of bait on bottom, tons of bait. I made a few passes through there and never got a bite in the bait.
Interesting. How did you, Lake of the Ozarks, you did really well.
Yes. Like that was that was the very first tournament, wasn't it?
Yeah. So in that situation, how did pre-fishing go for you?
That was I actually got to pre-fish like 3 days or something like that. Like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, tournament on Saturday. Wasn't that a holiday or something? Seems
Yeah.
like I was off.
New Year's
like
Eve weekend, yeah.
Yeah, like I was off work and got to go really early. But I did not find fish until the Friday evening before the tournament. Pre-fishing was fairly tough leading up to that Friday evening. Did a lot of scanning, caught a fish here, caught a fish there. But when I found the fish on Lake of the Ozarks, I found the fish. I mean, running side scan and all of a sudden they're everywhere. And it was just happened to check a bend in the river and there they was. And then it was obvious there they was.
What do you think caused them to be in that bend specifically?
Now in that situation there was bait. There was bait mid water level. There was bait in the upper water level. There was fish suspended. There was fish on bottom. There was actually, there was fish everywhere. On side scan, it was nothing but fish. And there was a lot of fish in that bend. First and second place came from the very same spot, if you remember. We was fishing around each other.
Now he was more anchored and you were dragging?
Yeah, he was anchored. I was dragging. He was a little bit shallower than I was. But I found those fish. So Wednesday, caught some dinks, 4 or 5 pounders.
Yeah. Look at that comment.
Weather was a factor for Lake of the Ozarks. I don't think he got out of the motel, so I don't know. I don't think he
Ouch.
Yeah.
But there was, the day we left Lake of the Ozarks was brutal. Do you remember that, or did you leave the night after the tournament?
I left the day after. It was like windy or something, wasn't it? Windy and cold.
And it got super cold.
Yeah, it was. I still got videos of that. It snowed the whole time pre-fishing, like Wednesday or Thursday. It snowed, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Really, the tournament day wasn't too bad. The weigh-in, I think it was sweatshirt at the most.
Yeah, I remember the weather being pretty decent. I've seen some videos from Lake of the Ozark a while ago that my kiddo took. I didn't even know he took. He actually had the big fish we caught that day on video.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So Wednesday caught dinks. Thursday caught dinks. Friday morning caught dinks. Friday evening checked out a new spot in the river, and like I said, there was fish everywhere on side scan. Most fish I'd seen in 3 days. Made one drag through there. Caught like 5 fish on 6 rods in like 10 minutes. I had my mind made up right then. That's where I'm going tomorrow.
Did you see any other boats around you at that time?
Just the guys that won it. Just Justin Clare and them. I seen them. Went back there on tournament day, and it didn't disappoint. I think we caught 4 or 5 overs. Cold 3 overs, something like that, and was steadily caught fish all day long.
Are you using the same type of rigs, dragging? This is somebody actually, before we were going to have you last week, they asked, do you change your rigs, whether it's cold, warm, or is you run the same rig, same length, leader line, and all that stuff?
I will shorten my leader lines if I'm not getting too many bites and I catch fish covered in mud. I'll shorten my leader lines. Other than that, they're pretty much the same all the time.
And then, so anything special about your rig?
I've started using the Dragon Master weights a lot more. I will run a 2-hook rig using their Dragon weights. Had pretty good luck on that. I like to run one short leader and one long leader if I'm using their weights.
Do you think that do you run different baits on each hook?
I don't run different baits. I'll run shad on each one, but I'll use like a head section on one, a body section on one, but usually the same bait.
Do you think that sometimes they're only wanting a head, or sometimes they're only wanting a midsection? Or do you get that serious about it?
Yeah, I don't get that serious about it. I mainly run heads. Sometimes I'll run body section, but especially if it's shad, I'll run mainly heads.
So you're running floats then too to kind of get that bait up off the bottom, unless they're maybe covered in mud, or do you always run floats?
I always run floats. I will shorten the leader if they're covered in mud.
When you say shorten the leader, are you talking like a 6-inch leader or 12, or?
I'm talking like probably 12 inches, probably about as short as I'll go.
What's the longest leader you'll run?
3 foot.
Oh, wow.
Not that often. Seems like mine are probably like 2 foot, 2.5 foot long, majority of the time. Now, if I'm running a Dragon Master weight, I do like to run that close one at like 12 inches, and then run the one behind it at like 2.5 feet, something like that.
That's a long way from each other then by the time,
So you have one close to the bottom and one up a few feet.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
I don't know if that makes a difference. I mean, some of the biggest fish we've caught on the 2-hook rig has a lot of times been on the short 12-inch one, the first hook. I don't know if that's because the hook that got to him first, or he was just on bottom, that close to bottom.
So what in your mind, what causes those fish to stay on bottom in the mud?
High pressure.
So it's got to be high pressure if they're going to have muddy bellies? Or have you seen them without high pressure?
Something drove them deep. Not necessarily high pressure, a change from low to high.
What about water level? What about water dropping?
I don't know so much I mean, where you'd notice the water drop would be in a river. Trying to think. I do see them covered in mud sometimes on the Mississippi. You can shorten your leader bump and take
that's always an interesting thing is, what might push them deep. I think a lot of the times it's just like when people say you got to use shad in the winter, skipjack in the summer. When the water goes down, they go deep. And I think that in most cases that is the situation, but I've seen it in tournaments where people went and fished deep when the water had a serious drop and got beat by people fishing shallow.
That happened at the championship, didn't it?
That happened at the championship. But also at the championship, I think we had a big rain the day or two before. So I think that, some of those tributaries had water flowing through them. And obviously that kind of put bait up there too. So I don't know
if the river's if the river's dropping, 2 feet overnight, it's going to drive them out in the current. It's going to drive them out in the deeper holes. In the lakes, I think it's pressure more than anything. Not necessarily high pressure. It's the change from low to high. You get several days of high pressure, they're probably not going to be buried up in the mud. I think it's the sharp change from low to high.
What have you ever ran when you're dragging? Are you ever doing like a dipsy diver or running something like at like mid level? Or are you always on the bottom?
Always on bottom. I've tried suspending boards, not had much luck. I'm just always on bottom.
Because the catfish their eyes are on top of their head.
Right.
Right.
I guess you're right.
Les Thompson says, do you put head on top hook or bottom hook? So does that matter, or?
Never paid attention to it.
So you just put the bait on and just roll with it.
Put bait on and roll with it.
You know, some anglers are so precise that they got to cut the head a certain way. They got to cut the fillet, the midsection. They got to hook it a certain way. And then they're saying, okay, well, we caught them all on heads, so we got to use heads. Or we caught them all on tail section. We got to use tail section. So it's crazy that 2024 angler of the year doesn't get that precise where he's got to use, you know, an angled head cut only. So that's just interesting.
As far as cutting bait, I not that picky. Now, type of bait, yeah, I'll change type of bait in a heartbeat.
So what's your thoughts on type of bait?
Whether it be shad or
weird?
skipjack or striper or what?
Does it got to be fresh? Have you used frozen?
I used frozen the whole tournament at Keystone.
Really? What kind of frozen?
Striper.
So you think if you'd have had fresh, it'd be different?
Well, didn't have the opportunity to get fresh. I mean, what did I have fresh at Keystone? I had fresh crappie at Keystone. That's the only thing I had fresh. By the end of the tournament, we was using all striper, straight striper, nothing else.
Do you ever use chicken?
What's that?
Do you ever use chicken?
Once.
Oh gosh! So if you used it only once, then it must not have worked for you.
I think the only time I used chicken was at the championship of Wichita last year. Now, I've been in the same boat with the guys that's using chicken and got beat by them.
Really? Huh. Yeah, I'm going to try to use some ivory soap this week.
Yeah, I think Lake Wichita last year is the only time I ever went and bought chicken in my life. And I hadn't bought it since.
So what is your thoughts? I mean, you live somewhat close to Lake Wichita. Do you think there are big fish there and they're just a little tough to catch?
I think there's big fish there. And I think they're, well, based on what I've seen, I think they're real tough to catch. But I think it's got more to do with water conditions.
Yeah, and that's why I think that if you wait, I think mid-January might be the time to go hit that lake.
Well, it's definitely definitely not October or November.
Not with the thermocline at 45, 50 foot.
Yeah. Something's got to happen to change that thermocline. We need a thermocline report before we go back to that lake.
Yeah. But it's just such a big lake. It's a beautiful lake too. I mean, I
think if there's running water, there wouldn't be a thermocline. So we need to look and see when they're running water.
You know, and I wonder, I didn't go way up in any of the arms, but I wonder if those arms clear up where let's say that one of those arms are running water. I wonder if you could just go up there and destroy them.
Maybe. So that's what I noticed last year at the championship. The arm that I fished had less of a thermocline. So I went up in Twin Creeks, I think it is. And the thermocline wasn't near as bad as the rest of the lake.
Did you go down to the dam area at all?
Yeah, I think I drove down there. Yeah.
Was there some deep
what I seen
there?
Seeing it in the lake, there's thermocline everywhere. I mean, and it was a hard thermocline. It wasn't like, it was a major thermocline.
You know, Jason Masciel was talking about, it wasn't at Ouachita, but he did a dive for a class, and he was, I think it was at maybe Table Rock or something in southern Missouri, but he was saying like it was 30 degrees difference. Like when you went under that thermocline, the amount was just crazy. And he had talked to some people that ran, like some friends that had ran trot lines, and they ran trot lines from like the bank all the way down deep. And when they came back to get the trot line, all the fish that were deep in that thermocline were dead because there just wasn't oxygen down there. They couldn't go back up to get that oxygen and go back down.
Yeah, I've seen that more than once.
So
yeah, there was no bait, there was nothing below the thermocline on Lake Washita. There wasn't a shad below the thermocline. There wasn't a crappie below the thermocline. There was nothing below the thermocline.
yeah, and I know Brian and Coy caught. Did you catch any blues at Washita?
No.
But Brian and Coy did.
Zero. Did they?
Yeah, they caught like little ones, like 5 to 10 pounders.
I never even seen them here in Washita, I don't think.
And then supposedly Donald Moore and Charlie caught a big blue, on Friday, but you never know about that.
Yeah, you got proof.
Nope. You got to have proof. What's Wally say? I just can't figure out how you get the chicken to sink. Every time I tried them, they don't sit still and constantly flapping their wings and pulling the rod around unless I run a brick for weight. Just kidding. Oh, gosh, that's a good one. There's one into the fryer. He's talking about Charlie and Donald. Yeah, and I think suspending baits would be pretty cool, but I don't know. I think, I've not done this
whole day down there pre-fishing, suspending baits, pulled planer board suspended, tried everything suspended for a whole day.
But the weather pattern was really screwed up too down there. When we had a big rain and.
Yeah, I remember the big rain.
Big channel cat?
What's that?
Didn't you catch a big channel cat?
Yeah, I caught like a 15-pounder.
That's a big channel cat. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not giving up on it yet. What is your favorite lake to fish and why? What's your number one lake? If you could go tomorrow and spend all day on it.
If I go tomorrow and spend all day, I'm going to Kerr just because it's close. I really like the Helena. I really like Mississippi. I could go spend all day there. It's just not very convenient. The closest convenient place would be Kerr.
So do you think what could be a good weight at Kerr for March 16th if we hit it right?
A very good weigh-in, 130 pounds.
That's 2 over 3 under.
That's 2 over and 3 under.
That's a heck of a weigh-in. What's your biggest fish on Kerr?
$40s. 40 something. I don't know.
But I've seen some big fish get caught in there. And it's a big lake too. It's a ton of shallow water in that lake.
Ton of shallow water.
What do you think? What about the river section? Do you fish the river section more than Kerr?
I probably don't fish the river section as much as Kerr. I really like the river section. Done really well on the river section. My PB flathead come out of the river section. Around Van Buren, that area. It's the same water.
Were you dragging or anchored when you caught the PB?
Dragging.
Oh, wow.
Dragging boards in the river with, I think that day they was running water, but it was like hardly no current at all. You could drag boards upstream against the current.
Uh-oh. Talking about Washita.
Oh, yeah?
Donald, you got a picture of that blue? Maybe we can get Donald to go with us. That'd be a crew, me, you, and Donald on Washita. Oh, my. And for me, I guess, I'm gonna go to Louisiana this week. I'm excited and it's fun, but not that it's I mean, it's easy fishing. Like I want to challenge where like Washita's got that. It's making me so mad. I want to go catch a big blue there so bad to prove that there are big blues there.
Yeah.
You know,
That's some crystal clear water. I'm trying to think if I ever did really well in clear water, and I can't think that I have.
it's crazy. You know what though? Texoma is clear water too.
Not that clear.
True. So I remember I've got a video somewhere on my phone when I just got the Dynasty for whatever reason. It was before the championship. So I went there and I filled my live well up and it was clear. I mean, crystal clear water. Is insane. I've never seen anything like it.
I spent one day pre-fishing and went back home and bought all new line because I was just worried about the high visibility line in that crystal clear water.
Gosh, I had red. I wonder if that mattered. Do you think that color of line affects?
I mean,
What's everybody else think? You think the color of line affect catching fish? Because I mean, I used red all. I mean,
yeah, you got to rephrase that. The color of line and crystal clear water.
So what were you using, and then what did you buy?
We're talking visibility of like 40, 50 feet in places.
Yeah.
I did away with all the high vis orange and went to moss green braid.
Did that change you catching fish?
Well, I did better.
Huh. Maybe that's why I didn't catch any fish. Huh.
I downsized my leader line. I went from 80-pound leader to 60-pound leader. Went from high vis orange to moss green braid. And that's the only time I've used that moss green braid. It's still on reels that I haven't used since.
Well, yeah, that's what Donald said, that if it's crystal clear, he'll change his line. Wow. I got people changing line in clear water, using only certain baits. Everybody, that's what's fun, is everybody has their own niche and what they're, what they do. And if they trust it, that's what matters,
Yeah, I think it's all what you have confidence in.
I caught my personal best with music blaring, dragging the lake. You think music affects fish?
Definitely in shallow water, not so much in deeper water.
I mean, I was in 30 foot of water. I got subs.
I mean, I think you'd have to have the bass thumping pretty hard for it to bother them.
It was bumping pretty hard. But again, I think that goes back to like, some people that go to shallow water, whether it's the Missouri River in the winter, are they shutting their sonars off? Is that pinging, scaring fish?
Man, you can hear so much under the water. I've done my fair share of diving and what have you in lakes, and man, sound travels just so much.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's one thing on the all day until the wind kicked up on Washita. Like, you couldn't do nothing. It was just so quiet. Like, you could hear everything. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, I've been underwater, and you hear a boat motor. It sounds like it's going to run over you, and it's halfway across the lake.
Yeah. So I wonder if, over time, fish get used to that. I mean, look at the Mississippi River. That's got to be extremely noisy, especially with the barge traffic.
Yeah, I definitely think they get used to it, especially in the Mississippi River.
Let's see.
It's like rolling a generator on your boat on the Mississippi or something like
that. Oh,
that.
yeah.
Like, I don't think it affects them none whatsoever.
Oh, Dustin said about 30 minutes from Helos, 30 minutes from Natchitoches. I launched most of the time at Grand Encore. I'm not sure where Grand Encore is, but I hopefully the cold front that's coming doesn't affect them, because I'm going to be there, and I hope to tear them up. Wally says, I run red due to a red line will appear to disappear in water as the depth increases, because the red color is one of the first to be absorbed by the water. They have a diagram of that actually somewhere, making it virtually invisible at even relatively shallow depths. Essentially, the red light waves are filtered out by the water column, causing the red color to fade away. Wallace, did you literally take that off AI?
I think
He just
Googled
asked. Yeah, you just Googled it. That's a copy paste Google. That's an awesome answer though. Thank you for sharing. And then Les Thompson said the bigger fish like the older music. Could be. That's a good one.
it. Never thought about that. It may be the style of music that you're listening to. You know.
That's true. I didn't listen to I didn't listen to any music Saturday. It was so quiet. Let's see. So back to live scope. You got it on the front of your boat, the back of your boat.
I've had it right now. It's on the front of my boat. Haven't moved it in a while. I have experimented with it on the back of my boat. Didn't find a lot of use for it back there. So it's back on the front of my boat. I did have it on pole by the console where I could look around, whatnot. But it's back on the front of my boat now.
On
The
a
only
pole
thing
on
I
your
found it good for on the console is if you scan some fish, you could turn it on real quick and see what those fish were 100%. Wasn't no doubt what they were.
Yeah, on Texoma, actually, me, Matt, and Coy, we turned the live scope on, and you could see it was a catfish, like clear as day. It was unbelievable, and that was like 75 foot.
Yeah, was that on the front, back, side?
On the back side.
Yeah, well, I had mine right by the console where I could work it on a pole as you're driving or what have you, or idling real slow. And it did work great. You could see some fish on 2D or side scan or whatever, and you could turn it on and see what they was real quick. Wasn't no guessing.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna play with it this week, and I've been wanting to. Have you ran it on the? Is it perspective where it's the 180?
That's what I'm wanting to do. That's my goal. As soon as I get this deer season out of the way, I'm headed to the lake and I'm playing with perspective in shallow water.
So I've done it a few times, and I had the Guru hammerhead sonar on my boat at Kentucky Lake, and it's like a vid. I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, it's wild. You can see. So just imagine you're on the front of your boat and you have it in perspective mode. So you have 180-degree field of view.
Degrees.
Well, 140, 180. It's insane. You can see a fish from over here swimming across the front of the boat to over here. I mean, what's crazy is it shows you how much life is out there.
Yeah, I do have 360 on the front of my boat, and I do use that in shallow water.
How do you think that is compared to the perspective, or you haven't used perspective yet?
Yeah, I haven't used perspective yet. No.
I guess 360 is slowly going around.
Right, 360 is basically side scan. So 360, you can run side scan while you're setting still.
Okay. Yeah, this is completely live.
Right.
It's wild. Let's see. Anybody else in the chat use LiveScope yet? I know Brian's been talking about it a lot, that there's some guys in Texas that are doing pretty good with it. But like I said, I think it has its places. It's definitely great for bait. You know, another thing you notice with bait is how scared like shad get. So just when you bring your net up, whether it's sliding on the side of the boat or you drop it, any noise, like those shad will scatter.
Or you make one throw and miss, and they move 100 yards, and you never knew it without live scope.
Yeah.
Live scope's changed the game for bait. It's
because you don't have to throw 50 times; you can throw twice.
It's one, 2, 3 throws, done.
Yeah. So where is your next fishing trip? Are you in the hunting mode still?
We're in full hunting mode right now. The hunting mode's only going to last another week or two. No. Probably fish around here local. Probably Hubbard. Maybe my first one you see me at.
So what? I mean, have you ever fished Hubbard before?
Never been there.
So I've heard a lot of good reports on it. Les is lagging, I think. He said, I've heard live scope is better to see structure and not as good to see actual catfish. I don't know. We'll see. I disagree. I've seen some pretty wicked videos.
Yeah, I think it's good to see actual fish.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally watching them swim. That's why the first time I used perspective, I used it in my pool, and there was like some shad and carp, and it was just my screen was full of fish everywhere. I wonder if I had that somewhere. I think I might have shared it, but it was just crazy.
Only information I've got on Hubbard's coming from Coy.
Yeah, be careful what you listen to from him. He'll definitely throw you for a loop. Let's see. Okay, I think
So you got one transducer or two transducers? So I'm fixing to get another transducer just for perspective.
So I have two. I've got one in perspective in the front of the boat, and then I got one in just the front view or forward facing.
Forward.
But I kind of want, the reason I did the perspective in the front of the boat is, you know, like if you're dragging like a shallow flat, you can kind of scan that flat as you're dragging and kind of know, okay, well, there's fish 30 yards out or 40
so that's
yards
what I'm fixing to do. I'm fixing to get another transducer for perspective, and I'm going to get a network box and another cable. That way I can run my Garmin on my console also.
Oh, that would be nice. Come on, here. There we go, I think. Have you seen videos from anybody on perspective, what it looks like with catfish?
Yes. Oh, not catfish, not so much. I've seen perspective more on the bass fishing. I mean, I've watched them catch bass on beds and whatnot with perspective, and it's.
Have you heard? So I seen Wally said that they're talking about banning it in 12 states.
I hadn't heard like completely banning it.
I guess I've not heard anything like that.
I hadn't heard that.
Well, you got to fill us in on that.
The only thing I've heard is it's limited the amount of transducers and whatnot you can use.
But I think that's only for tournaments. I don't think that's for just anything. He was acting like they're going to outlaw it in the state completely, which sounds crazy, but I don't know.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that. Seems like they'd change the regulations before they'd just ban it completely. But who knows?
Well, I got to find this and share it, but he said Google it. Wally, you've been Googling stuff all night, dude. Come on.
So how was the fishing on Texoma? What'd y'all end up doing there?
So we were dragging in some deep water and real deep.
Catch some fish?
One fish.
One fish.
One fish.
Sounds like my trips to Texoma. I did really good and really bad on that lake.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was more of a shallow water bite or.
I don't think I've ever really got a good pattern on that lake. It's really been different every time I've been there.
They catch some giant fish there, and I think that one of the previous world records came from Texoma.
It did.
That's a massive lake. I wish Coy, I don't know if Coy got a picture of it, but like I said, we threw the live scope in real quick, and because we were seeing a bunch of fish. I got to start doing more videos. We were seeing a bunch of fish on the bottom, and then we could see the stripers, and they were busting up the shad, 30, 40 feet down. And then we just wanted to see like what was down there. So we threw the live scope in, and clear as day, you could see the tail. I mean, it was a catfish. It was insane. They just weren't biting. Could have been we're dragging too fast, or crap bait, or whatever. Who knows? The cut was wrong. You know what I mean? I didn't have chicken.
Should have been using body sections instead of head sections.
Yeah, should have been using tail sections. Tail sections with I don't know, the red dead blood stuff or whatever. But then a couple days, I know there were some big fish caught, the last couple days down there. So, but it was fun to get down there, see it. We're looking at having an event there to have. So that's Oklahoma and Texas. It's right on the. That's kind of weird how it splits the lake.
Did you fish on the Texas side or the Oklahoma side?
I think the Oklahoma side, but I'm not sure. I think right close to the line. That's just a massive lake.
That could have been the problem. It was on the Texas side.
That's probably right. Yeah, the Texas side. It should have been the Oklahoma side. What else? Give me what is your next step in catfishing? What do you want to try to do? Do you have any goals? I mean, you became Angler of the Year. You've done extremely well.
2025.
So I think, Aaron probably just threw his phone if he's watching right now.
I think that'd be really, really tough. Has it been done?
No. But I thought John and Kevin had a chance this year because they were close. And then you also had Nolan. I think it was. Were you in second going into the championship?
Second.
And then John and Kevin pretty close behind you, and then Nolan. And then it got all.
Yeah, John and Kevin was third and fourth. Nolan may have been after them. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's tough because there's just so many good anglers, and so many anglers are getting better each year. They're really honing in. I mean, this sport's changed from, just going. I mean, it's still fun, and you get to do, hang out with a lot of new people and meet new friends. But it's starting to get where people are really, they're studying at work, and they're looking at graphs, and they're looking at water levels. I mean, a lot of these guys, I see their phones, and they're shuffling between pressure. They got a pressure app, and they've got the water level and the current, from the dams and just everything. So I think that's changing things. And the rigs. I mean, look at, the Dragon Master products, from different floats to Livingston lure stuff. There's just a lot of different things than just going out and using hot dogs and chicken and anchor fishing. So it'll be. I'm excited because next year we're really spreading out. To go from Alabama to Texas.
Yeah, I've really been studying what you got out there so far, trying to figure out what I'm going to make.
You'll probably have more in your area than you've ever had.
More in my area than ever? Last year.
Well, yeah, there's no Grand, but I mean, you got Ray Hubbard ain't that far from you.
Ray Hubbard's just as close as the Mississippi.
Yeah. You live in a pretty good area, really.
Central.
Yeah, you live in a pretty good area. Oh, there he is. He's chiming in. He said John and Kevin always have a chance. They're excellent fishermen. And so, everybody that's fishing the trail has a chance. I mean, look at especially the top 50. The top 50 was not easy to get in. Quite a few people that tried didn't get in. So
is that the toughest top 50 you've ever had?
Yeah, absolutely. Each year it's getting really, until this year, you could get in it for the most part. You know, and then 3 years ago, I had it where if I had 8 tournaments, I took like your best 7 or 6. So it was kind of like a participation, I guess. I hate to say that, but it was a participation. If you showed up to 5 or 6 events, you're in. And now, you know, dropping it to 4 out of 12 or 4 out of 13, you know, you might only make 4 tournaments, but they got it. You better count them all. You can't go scratch or have a bad tournament. It ain't going to work. I mean, I had anglers that fished 8 and 9 tournaments that didn't get in. I had one angler fish 11 tournaments. But there was a lot of, you know, then you had some sleepers out there that hit 5 tournaments and had really some good finishes. So, like I said, it's gotten tougher each year, and I think this year will be even tougher. Especially expanding into Alabama, you know, some bigger turnouts. I don't think we're going to see as many low boat numbers.
I think you're going to pick up some new anglers this next year.
But if you look,
new anglers to your trail.
Yeah.
What's it? Not new anglers to your trail.
But if you look at last year's top 50 or top 100, it's almost like where do we put some new anglers that are some good quality anglers? Like, where do you put them? Like, that's going to make it even that much tougher to get in. But I think as an angler, I mean, don't you want to see that? Do you want to just like close your eyes, show up at a tournament, and then you're good to go? I mean, don't you want to kind of see, like, you got to be good to qualify?
Yeah, you want the competition.
I feel that was the best.
You got to show up and do something to make the funds.
Yeah, that was the top 50 this year was incredible. I mean, that was a tough field.
You had some guys too that would really change it up if they'd fished one more tournament.
I know. Yeah, big time. So, like I said, next year I think having it spread out a little bit more. You know, we got a few more we got to add, but some of the same events, some of them the dates change. You know, New Madrid is always a good event, and we're mixing that up a little bit. They wanted to change it to the 20th of September. You know, going back to Savannah in October, Perryville, Missouri. That's going to be July 5th, so that'll be the 4th of July weekend. So like I said, Perryville's in July. First weekend of July, like it was supposed to be last year, but then remember we had to postpone it.
Oh yeah, it got postponed. That's what it was.
July really hurt the whole series because we had to postpone, and then it was just a mess because that whole month we couldn't get water. Yeah. It's crazy how we had a flooding. Like, we don't think that it was flooding year because we had no water still at most of these tournaments.
Right.
But, you know, I have to say, I think we're almost due for like a pretty serious flood year because we've been pretty dry overall.
You could have a serious flood down in this area on the Arkansas River in March.
That's true. Now, was in March last year, were we low? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was low because there wasn't no water. There wasn't no current on the river.
That changes things drastically if there's a current.
It wasn't low. I think it was close to normal. What was your question?
I said that would change things drastically if there was some good current.
Yes.
You know. So how far do you live from Ouachita?
Hour and a half.
Golly, okay. Well, maybe sometime when it gets cold, and we're gonna find out and make sure before we make a drive that there's no dang thermocline. Don, maybe me and Donald will meet you down there. And see if
we're gonna have to call somebody and ask.
Yeah, it's got. I mean, I don't think that it can be there year round. It's gotta. You know, hopefully there's some snow and some. You guys, it sounds like you guys don't got any rain down there for a while, or they haven't.
No, it was really dry down this way all summer, or towards the end of summer, especially. Super dry. Then we got all the rain like in a week, brought everything back up to normal.
You know, it was still low down there. I mean, that lake was low. I don't know I can't remember I didn't look at the levels, but it was low. I mean, low. I mean, did you look at it might be lower than it was during the championship. It was low.
I don't know. You could see the end of the boat ramp there, Mountain Harbor Championship.
Yeah, I was scared especially by myself. I was like, man, if the boat drops off. I mean, it was super low.
Yeah, you couldn't back in and watch it by yourself. That's what I did last year. You had to back in and somebody could watch it, and the water was clear enough you could see the end of the ramp.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. So, okay, well, hey, thanks for being on, and again, congrats for the 2024 Angler of the Year. Hopefully, the belt fits you good though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wear it around time to time.
Yeah. Did you like the Photoshop I did of your hair and the? Did you notice the little thing I put on the cup?
I didn't notice it until you pointed it out, or somebody pointed it out, and then I seen it. Like I actually thought it was on the. I actually thought it was on the cup.
Oh my gosh! What did the cup say? I forgot what I put on there.
Good vibes or something like that.
Oh yeah, it was like a little graphic. It says "Good vibes,"
Right.
And I gave you the little Ric Flair hair, but no. So you're gonna try to do it in 2025? You think you can do it?
I'm going to give it my best effort. I don't know that I'll make as many tournaments as I did this last year, but I'm gonna give it a solid effort.
That makes you just gotta do really good at 4.
That's right, really good 4.
And you start off February 1st at Hub, a really good finish. That's going to be a really good start.
Yeah, that'd be great, and roll right into Kerr after that.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I started 2024. Did really good at the first 2, or the first 2 out of 3, or something like that.
Yeah, Lake of the Ozarks got an awesome finish.
Then kind of hit a little lull.
And that's kind of Coy and Brian started off different, and then Coy had a really good end of the year.
Yeah. I started out really good, kind of did mediocre in the middle of the year, and then came back solid at the end.
Yeah. Well, we will see how it goes. Well, hopefully, like I said, let's keep in touch and see if maybe we can get together on Ouachita. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know whenever you guys get some colder weather down there. Does it ever get cold down there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually cold by now, but like I said, we still got green leaves on trees.
Yeah, I think all the leaves are on the trees still at Ouachita. I mean, it was wild.
Yeah, usually by now. I noticed that sitting in the tree stand this evening. Can't see near as far as I normally can. Too many leaves.
So you got one more week to hunt, or what's your hunting season?
Pretty much one more week after this week.
Have you killed any deer yet?
Yes.
A bunch or what?
Yeah, just one. Just
one.
I got one with my recurve last week.
That's awesome.
I'm not a big recurve hunter, but I finally got one.
Well, congratulations. So now, what are you gonna shoot the next one with?
It's rifle season right now.
Yeah, Dan, I don't know what you guys get, like such a long rifle season. We get like 3 days for shotgun, and then we got to wait 3 weeks and get another 2 days.
Oh yeah, we get 16 days.
So no excuses not to get a big buck then.
Yeah.
Are you watching one? Are you watching a specific deer at all?
No, it's seems to be a ton of food this year. Like there's literally acorns anywhere you go. Deer scattered out. Not getting a whole lot on camera, just because of the fact. I think there's just so much food. But
well,
Not like Arkansas rifle season. They get like a month.
Yeah, I know. That's where Jeremy and some of my coworkers are at right now, just at deer camp. I think this was kind of the heavy, which this should be a good week with the weather change. That could get the deer moving down there.
It was like 60 degrees this morning. 60
60?
degrees. Yeah, it was 60 degrees and calm this morning. And then about 9:30, the wind changed out of the north and it dropped 20 degrees.
Oh, my. Wow. All right. Well, hey, thanks for being on. Sorry we had to postpone it. And everybody watching, if you want to, it will be live. Me and Liz will be live later this week, doing some fishing down south. Hopefully do the live scope thing a little bit. I think I can get it where I can actually put the screen on. So that'll be kind of cool. You'll be able to see the screen as we're doing it. Hopefully it's warm down there too. Because I think we have a high of 30 on Thursday. That's our high.
Dang.
Like a low of 15 or something crazy. So
Well, good luck.
Yeah. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a great week. Thanks, JT, for being on. And next Monday, we'll probably kind of talk about some more stuff and more of the schedule. Hopefully, we have a couple more events scheduled out for next year. So good luck, JT, this week, shooting that big deer, and hopefully Donald, if you're still on here, maybe the three of us will go down to Ouachita, and you'll show us where you caught that big blue.
All right.
I still haven't seen the picture though, so hopefully he'll share it with us.
I still ain't seen a big blue on Ouachita, period, even if it is in a picture. Maybe they got something in the background to prove it's on Ouachita.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. We'll see. All right. Well, thanks again for being on. Everybody have a great Monday evening and a happy Thanksgiving week, and we'll see y'all soon.
See y'all.
All right.